Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to your very first tutorial on Rust Axum using Askama template engine. We're going to build basic to-do app with authentication, error handling, logging, finally containerize and deploy it. In this video, we will do some basic setup and routing. I assume you already read the book and know basic Rust. Open your terminal and create a new Rust project, cargo new. I'm gonna name it Axum Askama tutorial. You can name it anything you want. Open in VS Code. Now open cargo.toml file. Now inside the cargo.toml file, we're gonna add dependencies. So the first dependency we're gonna add is Tokyo, which is our async runtime. And as you can see, I get autocomplete because I am using an extension which is, let me show you. I'm using this extension which you can use, then you will get autocomplete and you don't have to go to crates.io or check official documentation for version or features. Let's add the version and then the features. Features is full features. And then the Axum. And the features will be macros. And lastly is the template engine. Now open main.rs file. Since we are gonna use async await, so we have to annotate our main function to Tokyo main. So for that, add Tokyo main to our main function. And now we will be able to use async await. The first thing we need to do is we need to create a TCP listener. So create listener. And the address will be localhost, which is 127.0.0.1, and the port will be 8000. And this returns a future, so we have to call await. And then again, this returns a result, which is of generic type TCP listener and error. So it can return error, but we are not going to handle error now. In the future video, I will show you how to do that. So for now, we will ignore error. When we call unwrap, this will only panic and crash our app. And now let's create our router. And router, which is from Axum router. Register a route, which is path is /. And the method is get method, which is from Axum, which is HTTP get method. And register a handler. We don't have this handler, so let's create a function, async function for our handler. This returns Axum response. And from inside, we're gonna return a string slice and a call into response, which is from Axum into response. And this will convert this to a Axum response. Now finally, we have to spin up our server. Call Axum sub, and then this function takes listener and then app. And then we have to call await because this returns a future, and then unwrap because we don't want to deal with the error. With that, if we just go ahead and run cargo run, and this will compile and build our app. Just give it a moment. Then go to the terminal and then call to localhost 8000, and we get the response as we expect. The question is how we are able to turn a string slice into Axum response. If you visit the official Axum documentation, then go to into response rate, you will see there are many types implemented this rate, and that led these types to convert to Axum response. Like you can see static string, string slice, call string, bytes implemented into response. So we can call into response function only on these types, but won't work for other types. So for example, if I use any string slice, if I add an integer, then this won't convert to Axum response because that type didn't implement into response trait. In the future, I will show you how to implement into response trait for our own type and convert that to Axum response. At this moment, we are just showing this string, but we wanna show a rendered HTML. But I made a typo here. This will be listener, not listen. Anyway, go ahead and create a new folder at the root of this project and call it templates. The name has to be templates, otherwise Askama won't find this because the Askama will look inside the templates folder. Now inside this folder, create a new index.html file. And now we need to generate a basic HTML structure. So for that, type the bang or exclamation mark and then hit enter or tab, and this will generate the boilerplate for HTML. And inside the body, let's return main and then a h1 tag, and let's type I am from Axum. Okay. Now go back to main.rs file. Now we have to create a struct for that. So for every single new page we render, we have to create a separate struct. So for that, let's create a struct and call it home template. And I made a mistake and I will fix that mistake. It will be in camel case, not snake case. This struct won't have any field because we don't want to pass any data to it. Now we have to derive from Askama template. So add the derived macro and then template, which is from Askama template. And we also have to give the path. The path where this index.html file located. Now inside the handler function, get rid of this text and create a variable HTML string. Then instantiate the home template. Okay, this will be camel case and I made mistake. Then call render and then call unwrap because this can return an error type. Now we need to pass this string to our Axum HTML. So there are two HTMLs, one from Askama and another from Axum response. This HTML, make sure you import from Axum response. Then pass HTML string and then call into response. And now return this, don't add any semicolon, otherwise it won't return. Now stop the server, rerun it. Now go to your web browser and then go to localhost 8000 and you can see we get the HTML, and I can show you if I inspect this, it's an HTML. So at this moment we are showing this HTML file when we visit our website, which is this route. But in real life website, there will be multiple routes and each individual route will show different HTML file. So for example, if we visit to /signup, then we have to create another HTML file similar to home, like this. And now let's generate the HTML doc. Now the only thing will be different is the main content. So let's just add a main and h1 and return this text. This is sign up. But the problem is now we have code duplication. For example, all pages will have some common CSS JavaScript import. All pages will have navbar and footer. So now if we decide to add a navbar to our page, then we have to add this navbar to all pages. And not to mention, if we decide to change or update, we have to update in all pages everywhere. So we won't create separate HTML file. So go ahead and delete that. So instead, we will use this index.html file as our base HTML. And for each page, we will create separate file to hold only the page-specific content. Then when we render the page, it will take all necessary content from that page and merge it with the base HTML and show it as a complete HTML file. So let's go ahead and create a new folder inside templates, call it pages. Inside that, create a new file, call it home.html, and everything related to home page will be inside this file. So now we can create our h1 tag for now, because this is exactly what we are returning this moment. This is home page, and we have to tell that this home.html is part of the index.html. So how do you tell that? We have to say this extends from index.html. So index.html, and now this will tell this home.html is extends from the base HTML index.html. Now if I view it side by side, so you can see what I'm trying to say. This part will be replaced by this part. So we have to somehow tell insert this part, this content here. So how do you do that? We have to define a block. Now let's just go ahead and create a block. And the template engine will recognize the syntax. This is part of template engine. By the way, you can use a Jinja VS Code extension to generate this code snippet. Now blocked, so now cut this thing and paste inside and name it main. And again, we have to do it here. We also have to get rid of this text and then name it main. The template engine will match the block name and insert this. So the name has to be the same. Now go back to main.rs file. Now instead of showing the index.html, let's show the pages and home.html. And if we restart our server, this moment if we go back to our browser and reload, we can see that our home page is showing, and we can see the home page content is now merged with the index.html and rendered the whole HTML file. Now at this moment we see the page title is document, but this will be dynamic based on the page. So for that we have to create another block outside of the main block. So create another block and call it title, and the title will be home because this is home page. And we wanna insert this inside our head tag. So for that we have to also add the block with the same name, and it will be title. Now again, if we restart our server and go to our browser, reload our browser, then we get to see home. You probably have seen some websites add their website name with the title. So for example, it's the home hyphen the website name. So for example, if it was a YouTube, so it will be like home and then YouTube. But we don't want to hard code this title for each pages. We can add this here. So outside of this block, we can just say my site, or you can name it any name you want. Let's call it my to-do site. And now we have to call super prom here, prom inside this block, and that will invoke this text. So let's add open and closing curly braces, and inside that call super. Now again, if we restart our server and go to our website, and now you can see that our page title, and also we added the website. Now let's just also add the meta description. So when we share the link, then you will get a link preview, and this is also used for SEO. Now you can go crazy and customize this, but for this tutorial I'm going to keep it simple. So inside the head tag, add the meta block. Inside the home.html file, after the title block, add mirror block, and inside that block add meta tag with name is description and title is this is homepage. Now just close the home.html file. Now let's go ahead and create other pages. Let's create todos.html file. Copy everything from home.html file and paste inside. First update the title and then update the description, and also change the main content. Now create another HTML file, create.html file. Paste that we copied from home.html file. Now update the title, update the meta description, and update the main content. Now I'm not going to bore you by creating other pages. I'm going to speed up the process, but all of them will be same. Now let's create notfound.html file. This will be shown when we visit a route that doesn't exist. Servererror.html, which will be shown when there is any internal server error. Now we might not need this meta description tag, but it's totally up to you. If you want, then you can change it. And with that, we're done creating all pages. Now let's go ahead and open main.rs file and right click and close other, so we can get rid of all these pages. As I told you before, every time we want to show a new page, we have to create a struct for that. So for now, I'm going to create struct for each pages. Similar to home handler, which renders the home page, create handlers for each page. Finally, add the rest of the routes and register each handler to corresponding route. Now if we restart our server and then go back to our browser and reload. Now if I go to create, and you can see that I am in the create page, and if I go to the sign up, then again I am also in the sign up page. So our routing and navigation is working, but at this moment we don't have any navigation bar or any button to quickly switch between pages. So let's go ahead and add that. So go to the index.html file, and inside the navigation, Let's add an anchor tag. This will be home button, so add home inside. Then add href to /. Anchor tag has a built-in feature. It makes GET request to the provided link. In our case, it will make GET request to /. Similar to this, we can also do it for create and for to-dos and sign up. And log in. Now restart the server and go back to the browser and reload now, and you can see that we are able to navigate around using our navigation bar. And I know that I rushed a bit, so I'm going to explain to you again how everything is working together, and you can skip ahead. So when user click on this anchor tag, it makes a GET request to this route. So inside our server, we already registered this path. Then we also register a GET method, and then we attach a handler. So inside the handler, we are rendering the corresponding HTML. At this moment, our website is just HTML. There is no styling. So we will add styling. So to do that, we have to serve static files. Now open cargo.toml file. Then add tower HTTP. And the features is FS, file system. Now at the root of this project, create a static folder. Then go to my GitHub and download these files and then copy and paste inside this folder. Now before we initialize our routes, create a variable subdir, which is for subdirectory. Then initialize subdir from tower services, which should import at the top. And then the path. So the path is the folder name. In our case is static. If it was tomato, then we would name it tomato. Now at the end of these routes, add next service, and then the path is the routes, which is static, and the service, which is this variable. And then if we restart our server, then go back to our browser, then go to /static. Now in this route, we are serving our static files. Then you can see that there is a CSS folder. Inside that, we can access all these files. So let's just access the global CSS. So CSS. And you can see we are able to access the static CSS file, which is the global CSS file. And now again, if this path was like potato, for example, and if we just have to restart our server, and now if I again try to access global CSS using the old path, and now it's loading because loading from cache, so I have to command shift R, which is hot reload or restart, then we can't access that file. If I change the name from static to potato, then we can access that file. Change back to static. Another thing is that in Axum, the middlewares are executed from the bottom to top. So this has to be at the end of all routes, because all of them will access to the static files. And finally, all we have to do is go to the index.html file, then add the link tag to our CSS file, which is the global CSS. Now if we restart our server, then again hot restart, which is Command Shift R. Now this didn't work because we have to wrap our navigation bar inside header. Now restart our server and we should see. And there you go. And we have some styling. Now we're almost done with this video, but I'm going to create some modules and organize the code. So inside the src folder, create lib.rs file. Then declare these 3 modules. Now they don't exist, so we have to create them. Inside the src folder, create another folder named models. Now inside that, first create mod.rs. Then create templates.rs. This file will hold all these templates models. Now we have to add this submodule to mod.rs file. So add that submodule. Now go back to main.rs. Scroll down and cut all these structs. And then open templates.rs and paste there. Now we have to mark all of these structs public because at this moment they are private and we can't access from outside this module. Then at the top, import Askama template. Askama template. Now close that. And then again inside the src folder, create another folder, name it handlers. Inside that, create 3 submodules. One is public.rs, another is todos.rs, and lastly auth.rs. And we have to create the mod.rs as well. And now add all these submodules here. Now go back to main.rs, then scroll down and cut this sign up handler and login handler. Then go to auth.rs, then paste that in. At the top, import Axum response, then HTML into response and response. And we also have to update our models for templates. Use create and then from the models import template, import sign up and login. And also have to import Askama template. And we have to mark these 2 as a public. Then again go back to main.rs. Cut these 2 handler functions, todos handler and create todo handler. And go to todos.rs file inside the handlers, paste that in. Now we can just go to auth.rs and copy everything which we imported and then go back to todos.rs and paste that because they're same. The only difference will be we have to import the different template model. We have to import todos template and create template. Lastly, make these 2 handlers public. And finally, go back to main.rs and for the last time, cut this handler and open public.rs. Paste that in, then we can again go to todos.rs, copy this import, go back to public.rs and paste at the top. And again you have to mark it public, change the import to home template. And finally we have to create the routes. Inside the src folder, create a new file, routes.rs. first import the Axum router and then create a public function, call it router, which returns router that we imported. Then go back to main.rs, then cut this router and also the serve directory. Then go back to routers.rs, paste that, and we have to return the app. And we also have to import subdir and import the get method from Axum routing, and then finally import all of this handler from our handlers modules. Now finally go back to main.rs. Now it's complaining because we don't have any router. So create app routes, and then the function is route. Now we have to import, get rid of these imports because we don't need them. Use and then name of our app, which is inside the cargo.toml, which is this name, whatever name you have assigned. Copy that, go to the main.rs, paste that, then we can import this. I think I spell it wrong. And with that, everything should work as before. So restart the server, cargo run, and go back to our browser, then Command-Shift-R, and then you can see that we are able to navigate around. And that's it for this tutorial. Don't forget to watch the next one. Give me a like and comment if you have any question. I will leave all the resources link in the description. And I will see you in the next one. Assalamu alaikum.